Hi guys, Jay Smith here, welcome to the AskGolfNut channel. Today we're talking about how to get a little bit more consistency back when it comes to these things, the irons. And to be fair, if you were to listen to this and understand this properly, this is also transferable to the driver. Although generally speaking, you don't have ground interaction problems with the driver because it's on a tee, and if you do, well, generally speaking, that's a different lesson anyway. But let's try and get some consistency back with understanding what is the main cause of problems when it comes to hitting balls off the floor with these things, irons or anything like that. So you can, within reason, you can take this to fairway woods as well, but obviously most of them we talk about chunks and stuff like that with irons. So when we're talking about chunks, fats, thins, tops, whatever words you want to use for these problems with contact, basically with irons, it's driven by a very, very similar thing. Normally fats and thins, chunks and tops are exactly the same problem, but they just show themselves in two different issues. And it's poor control of low point. What I mean by low point is that every golf club or every golfer has an arc, yeah, where you're going to hit the ground, doesn't matter where it is. Now some people, because of how they use their mass, and that's the first problem that we see when it comes to understanding low point, they move their low point in different points. Now when you look at the PGA Tour players, the PGA Tour players have these lovely swings where they exit after the golf ball. When they hit the ball, whatever the ball they're trying to hit, their golf club is still going down. They're still on its way down at the point of where they hit the golf ball. The golf club carries on through the floor. A lovely fillet stake divot comes out and the ball just goes off into the distance. Where you'll see a lot of amateurs when they have their swings and they have their fats and thin issues is the fact that they don't use their low point very well whatsoever. If anything, you see them sway so much, they move all their mass over to, well not all, but a certain amount of mass over to their trail leg. And if you imagine, if you're going to set up, and your setup, say, is A1, it's brilliant, and you can't really moan about anything in your setup whatsoever, and on the way back you move your mass over here, well, if you've moved your mass over that far, what happens is your downswing is a heck of a lot faster than your backswing. So if you've moved 6, 8, 10 inches of mass over to your trail side, you get to a point where you're back over here and you physically can't get back in time before the golf club has got to the golf ball, and so your low point is early. Now, depending on what your vertical side of things are, you can either chunk it, or more commonly, when it comes to tops and thins, you kind of do this. Oh, that was low on the face. Oh, that was fraction open. That's why I went right. But look at the strike and look at the angle attack. 6 degrees up and 17 mil low. And that's by me. You can see there on that camera, I went back and I stayed here, and I basically, unfortunately, you get to a point of where you end up doing this. You either hit the ground early and chunk it, or you naturally don't hit the ground, you come up and your natural arc and you thin it. Now, again, you can do something similar, no different vertically. You can try and do your normal good swing, but if you drop yourself or jump up, more commonly drop, because you see a lot of people, they try and, don't try, in their swing, you see them go like that and they lose height in their swing. And of course that means their vertical low point has dropped. No different if we were to try and graze the ground, wherever that will be, no problem, and then drop. You can see, that's an exaggeration, but you can see the problem. You can see it hits the ground early. And so you could have a vertical low point or a horizontal low point that doesn't change. You don't sway whatsoever, but you drop and you can hit the ground before. Oh. Yeah. Now, of course, on this mat, which has got no soil to it, it was that bad, they didn't even read it. On this mat where there's no soil whatsoever, you're going to get a huge disruption to the data. It's just, you're going to get hits the ground, twists and everything. Out in the open world, we have grass and nice soft dirt. A cubic yard of wherever you are in the world will come out, and the golf ball and divot will possibly go the same distance. And that's exactly the same if you sway, or you sway, have poor control low point this way, or you have poor control of low point this way. Makes no difference. You still get bad results. So what you're trying to do within reason, you'll see by my low point, is I stay fairly central on the way back, and I push slightly, yes, down a little bit, but I also have a little bit of a diagonal push, and I move my low point diagonally, so we can try and get a half decent hit. Face is a fraction shut. Fraction. It's good. It's fine. You can see there that my low point was after 5 degrees down. I am, what my loft delivery, 24.3, so I'm de-lofting by about 5 and a bit degrees by about the same amount of my angle of attack. That's a different video, I won't get into the, but within reason, I am moving, you can see by the relative slow-mo, I am moving my mass this way. I'm fairly static on the way back, but I move into it because I'm trying to move my low point. Right, there's another one as well. These things, wrists, and they betray a lot of people. When I say betray a lot of people, what you will see there is the fact that I'm trying to have the feeling of my handle is beating the head. I want to have a certain amount of shaft lean into impact. Well, unfortunately, a lot of people have this extension of the wrists. They have this want to flick the golf club at the golf ball, whatever's going on in their subconscious, I don't know, but effectively when you use extension on the wrists, one, you elongate the length between your shoulder and the golf club head, which means then as soon as you extend the length, which means extending your arc, which means unless you do something like either jumping or move massively forward, you are going to hit the ground early. So I'll demonstrate as in going backwards and forth, backwards and forth, backwards and forth, and then wrist release in extension, extend the length, hit early. So if you don't hit early, as in the chunk, what you end up doing is either getting a thin or a half okay shot, but it also compromises one thing, and I'll see if I can do it because this is not the easiest thing. As you can see, not quite the easiest thing. But you'll see straight away the low strike on the face. Yes, very thin. You'll see instantly the difference in angle attack. Gone from 5 degrees to 0.6, very thin. But then that also, again, 17 mil low, very, very thin. But the loft has also gone up. It's now 29.6 degrees. There you go, that's about as good a job as I can do with doing it. That's hard to do. Give me a few goes at doing it, I'll probably get there. But it's just difficult because it's something different to normal. But you can see there, so delivery was pretty good. Path, face angle, pretty good. Angle attack was 0.0, which is really picky, no divot whatsoever. And I was 10 mil toe, 4 mil low, so within reason, I managed to do a pretty decent job of connection with it. But my loft is now 29.2. So if you imagine, this golf club in question, this 7-iron, has got 30 degrees of loft on it. So within reason, I'm not far off delivering static loft, which means at impact, my shaft was within reason neutral, not leaning back, which a lot of people do. They get to a point where they do this. Now that's really hard to do for me, but obviously people do this all the time, and of course, and they struggle with inconsistent hits because of that shaft lean or lack of it. And so I mean that's a very good result of the best possible chance of doing it. You give me 5 more goes of that, I don't think I'll be able to do any better job of doing that if I try probably more than 5 times. So that's what we're talking about when it comes to low point. First of all, we're talking about how we sway. Then we're talking about how we move our low point up and down. That's all going to have impact on where this golf club is hitting the ground. Obviously dropping and not hitting the ground until if we jump up. So we want to try and see if we can keep our mass just a little bit more centered. Understand that you can rotate, but you don't need to sway. And then understanding wrist angles. Let's try and see if we can get that feeling of the shaft leaning forward, having that center of pressure, that mass moving forward towards target at the point of contact, so we can get some much more consistent strikes. So don't be frightened to comment below. Do you suffer from any one of these or an amalgamation of any one of these to have that problem with poor strikes, fats, thins and stuff like that, especially loft delivery, etc. But above all, if you could go down there and the old like button, thumbs up, if you could do that, YouTube likes it, so do I. Next to it is a red button. If you could press that, that's the subscribe button. It's free and it's great for the channel. And next to that is a bell icon. There's a notification bell that will let you know next time I upload another video. So I hope you're well, and we'll see you again soon.